Welcome to Period 4 in 6 minutes. This is the series where I try to cover a period in the APUSH curriculum in 6 minutes or less. Today we're covering Period 4 in 6 minutes, and that would be from 1800 to 1848. So we've got a Jefferson, we've got a Madison, we've got an Adams with a corrupt bargain, we've got a Jackson. Let's get moving. We're doing some doc practice because you're going to be looking at some docs on Friday. So this is Thomas Jefferson's first inaugural address given in 1801. What does he say? Well, first off, Jefferson calls his victory in the 1800 election the Revolution of 1800 because this is the first time that you see a peaceful, balanced transfer of power from one political party to the other. So power transferred from the Federalists with Adams to the Democratic Republicans with Jefferson. So what does Jefferson have to say for himself? All too will bear in mind this sacred principle, that though the will of the majority is in all cases to prevail, that will to be rightful must be reasonable, that the minority possess their equal rights, which equal law must protect, and to violate would be oppression. First paragraph, what is Jefferson trying to say here? Well, he's trying to say basically that as president, he's going to not forget the minority, the Federalists that lost the election. And what's a piece of evidence we could use to support this? Well, he kept the Bank of the United States, and he basically kept Hamilton's financial plan as far as repaying the debts of the states. And this earned him some Federalist support during his first term as president. So moving on. We have called by different names brethren of the same principle. We are all Republicans, we are all Federalists. If there be any among us who would wish to dissolve this union or to change its Republican form, let them stand undisturbed as monuments of the safety with which error of opinion may be tolerated, where reason is left free to combat it. So what's he saying here? Well, he wanted to keep the country unified and he wanted to avoid partisan conflict between the political parties. Again, he says we're all Republicans, we're all Federalists, we're all Americans. You'd think some of our Congress people would go back and read this. Maybe they haven't read this. Maybe that's why they're acting the way they are. Anyway, he wanted to keep the country unified and he didn't want to focus so much on the opposition. Again, kind of smart. Moving on. Equal and exact justice to all men of whatever state or persuasion, religious or political, peace, commerce, and honest friendship with all nations, entangling alliances with none. What's he saying? He's going to carry on Washington's tradition of neutrality, which he will basically in the first term. However, this gets difficult in his second term because he's got to deal with the Napoleonic Wars. Napoleon's doing a lot of malarkey over in Europe. He fights a war with the Barbary pirates because he's sick of paying bribes to them, and he passes the Embargo Act in 1807, which effectively ends trade and tanks the U.S. economy for a time. It's gone in a year, but this neutrality, as the country gets more involved in affairs of the world, will become difficult. Good job. Next document. King Andrew I from 1833. So the College Board just loves this cartoon. I've seen it on like 2 APUSH exams so far. So let's take a look at this. So who is this? This is Andrew Jackson, President Andrew Jackson, King Andrew I. For doc analysis, I think with cartoons and pictures, especially political cartoons, point of view is your easiest thing. What is the cartoonist trying to say here? Well, this is satire, right? Jackson's being shown as an absolute monarch, and you silly goose, that's not what a president is supposed to look like, right? That's exactly what we didn't want our presidents to be when the country was founded. It's saying that Jackson's abusing his constitutional powers of President of the United States. He's got his scepter. He's got his veto in his hand. He's the first president to use the veto as a weapon. evidence of this, of him maybe abusing his power or expanding his power beyond the Constitution. You could Indian removal, right? Rochester v. Georgia. Marshall made his ruling. Let's see him enforce it. He can't. The president enforces the law. So sorry, Native Americans. And his veto of the busk, and he used the veto as a weapon against Congress. So King Andrew I, this is satire, abusing constitutional powers as president of the United States. Crazy Andrew Jackson. So those are the documents I have for you today. That was period 4 in a nutshell with documents, and we are about almost done. Also, the U.S. Constitution and the arms of Pennsylvania lies at his feet. He's stepping all over the Constitution. You don't do that. That's not good. Anyway, we're about 5 minutes, 50 seconds in. So once again, I get a piece of candy, and I hope this video finds you well. See you on the other side. Take it easy.